Welcome to Orioles Digest. I'm your host, Kam Brice. And like I say in every video, hit that subscribe button. If you are a part of this percentage, let's change that today. Come join Orioles Digest. I'm giving you daily updates about the Baltimore Orioles that you don't want to miss. The Baltimore Orioles have missed out on so many pitchers this offseason. And with Corbin Burnes signed to the Arizona Diamondbacks, it's looking like they're going to have to go to the trade market. And one MLB insider gave some recent updates on what the Baltimore Orioles could possibly do. Ken Rosenthal from The Athletic said, interest in Castillo increased significantly after the New York Yankees signed free agent lefty Max Fried to an 8-year, $218 million contract. Now, if we go deeper into this quote, durability and the 3.56 ERA are the two reasons why the Chicago Cubs, Boston Red Sox, Baltimore Orioles, and the New York Mets are among teams to at least inquire on him, according to league sources and reports. So, this could be a good move for the Baltimore Orioles. I know I've did a video about mentioning the trade with Dylan Cease. We haven't really talked about Luis Castillo. So in this video, we're going to talk a little about Luis Castillo and what a possible trade package could look like for the Baltimore Orioles. Castillo pitched 30 games last year, over 170 innings, 25 home runs allowed is a lot, 175 strikeouts, 158 hits, but a 3.64 ERA with a 1.169 whip. That's pretty good for a pitcher who's not your one or your two. And the Mariners rotation is so goddamn good. They have, I think, the best rotation in baseball with George Kirby, Bryce Miller, and Wu. And then you add Castillo in that mix. It's just a dominant rotation. The only problem with the Mariners is they have no production on the offensive end. So the pitchers, at the end of the day, they start to struggle at times. I think Castillo could be a perfect guy that you put in the Baltimore's rotation. He would be the one. If you put him in this rotation, it'll be Castillo, Zach Eflin, Grayson Rodriguez, Dean Kramer, Sagano. You even throw Trevor Rogers, Cade Povich. You got so many different options that you can throw. And then the Baltimore Orioles rotation looks better. And then you start to get maybe Kyle Bradish after the All-Star break. And then after the All-Star break, you're looking at one of the best rotations in baseball. It's going to be interesting because I'm not sure if the Mariners are willing to trade him. The Baltimores have been in talks with them. At the winter meetings, they said the Orioles and Mike Elias checked on the Mariners. And now more reports are starting to come out after Corbin Burnes was signed that teams are starting to check on the Mariners. Like, what do you want for Castillo? We'll give you some of our best prospects. When discussing Castillo, we have to remember he has a no trade clause in his contract. But I'm pretty sure that wouldn't have no effect. Who wouldn't want to come play with the Baltimore Orioles? I know the perception of this franchise over the past couple of years is free agent pitchers don't want to sign here. Hitters don't want to sign here because they're not going to get paid. Now for Castillo, he's going to get paid. His contract, it's guaranteed. It's $26 million over the next couple of years. So even if the Baltimore Orioles end up releasing him, they'll still have to pay their part. And I'm pretty sure the Mariners want to dump off that salary. I think the Baltimore Orioles have multiple trade packages that they can offer to the Mariners. And that will get me into my next point. What could a possible Luis Castillo trade package look like for the Baltimore Orioles? I was looking at a lot of trade package involved the Baltimore Orioles and Luis Castillo, but I ponder on one from Birds Watcher. If you guys know that article, that publisher, they post a lot of content about the Baltimore Orioles. You should definitely check it out. It's very helpful. They give you good insight, and it's always good sources. So let's check this package out. So the Baltimore Orioles will obviously be receiving Luis Castillo, but they will be sending Heston Kjerstad, Ryan Mountcastle, and Ramon Urias. Now, that's a pretty good trade package for Luis Castillo, I think. Now, Ramon Urias, I would not hate giving up. He's a utility guy. Fans love him, but it's time for the Baltimore's to move on from him. You have Jorge Mateo, who could be a utility guy as long as he stays healthy. You have Jackson Holliday. You have Kobe Mayo. You have so many other infielders that you don't need Ramon Urias right now. Ryan Mountcastle has been a guy that's been in trade talks for the last two offseasons for the Baltimore Orioles. We know they're not going to end up extending him. And when he hits the open market, his market won't be that big, but he's still a potential all-star player. So I would rather the Baltimore Orioles trade him now and get something worth of him. Last guy is Heston Kjerstad. I think this will be the toughest one because we have yet to see him in the MLB consistently. So we don't even know Heston Kjerstad potential. For all I know, he could be a future star in this league. He could be one of the best players in your franchise. But we don't know that. When given the opportunities, Kjerstad produces. But when he's giving kind of 4 to 5 days off, and then they put him in the DH role. He goes 0 for 4, then they give him 2 more days off. He comes back 3 for 4. It's just an inconsistent play, and that happened a lot when you had Austin Hayes, Anthony Santander, and Cedric Mullins. So there was no room for Heston Kjerstad. Now that Santander is gone, it's looking like Heston Kjerstad and Tyler O'Neill could flip-flop roles. Sometimes Tyler O'Neill's in DH, sometimes Heston Kjerstad is in the outfield, vice versa. But Heston Kjerstad is another guy that possibly will be willing to give up, even though he hasn't been given the opportunity. It's just a point of the time where the Baltimores have to start moving these prospects and these younger guys that are blocked in their system. Luis Castillo could be an amazing contribution to the Baltimores. They just need one starting pitcher to be a World Series contender. Honestly, losing Corbin Burnes doesn't hurt that much. Yes, I know. He was one of the best pitchers we've ever seen in the Orioles uniform. Even though his stint was only for one season, that's still a guy that you can move on from. I never expected the Orioles to pay over $200 million for Corbin Burnes. And like I mentioned in my other video, I had an offer around 3 years, $150 million. And I'm pretty sure Burnes was very disrespected by that offer. Now, Mike Elias, it's going to be a long off season. He's hearing talks about fans. Let's get this straight. Elias is a great GM, and I promise you, he will make a trade, whether it's Luis Castillo or Dylan Cease. We will get another pitcher on the Baltimore Orioles. Only time will tell. Remember, we didn't get Corbin Burnes until around January and February. So the waiting game is going to be a while. But Luis Castillo could be an amazing contribution to this team. He's a proven all-star. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's consistent over the course of his career. He doesn't get hurt a lot. He pitches a lot of innings. He strikes batters out. Gives up a lot of home runs. That's the only concern. But a lot of pitchers give up home runs.